Voicemails for Isabelle is the latest rom-com to drop on Netflix, and I guarantee you this one's gonna have massive success on the platform. However, outlets like Variety, The Guardian, and even audiences are saying that this movie has a very creepy setup that is a little more creepy than romantic. So is this just a bunch of hyperbolic slop talk, or do they have a point? Let's talk about that. A young woman's hilariously confessional voicemails to her late sister are unknowingly redirected to a stranger who begins to fall in love from afar. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I am Nick, and today we're going to be reviewing the newest Netflix rom-com, Voicemails for Isabelle. Now, there has been a lot of weird talk around this one on, is the premise for this thing a little bit creepy and maybe a little toxic given the circumstances of everything? We're about to find out, but make sure to like this video, as when you do, a clapperboard will appear and you'll support a small channel like me. But with that said, let's just get right into this. So starting us off, we have to go to the premise of this film and how it is set up. As the setup is Jill, who is played by Zoe Deutch. Her late sister Isabelle passes away from cancer earlier in the film, and she is sending these voicemails to Isabelle as a way to kind of express her grief and keep a connection going with Isabelle to kind of feel like she's still there and able to talk to her sister. So these voicemails, while absolutely hilarious to see, and Zoe Deutch does a fantastic job playing this character, there is a very sad side to this because this is her pretty much only chance to even have a spark of connection with her sister, or at least as she thinks, as she is in this stage of grief. And I think all of this is actually handled really well. It's a very nice setup for this character, and I think a lot of the serious side of the grief is handled pretty well. It's just who's on the receiving side of these voicemails that is causing a lot of problems for people. So the guy on the receiving end of this is this guy named Wes, who is played by Nick Robinson, who also does a very good job in his role. He's got a very good position at his real estate job, and he is trying to write a best man speech for his friends at their wedding, and he gets a new cell phone number at work, and what's going on here is that Isabelle's number, as she passes away, her number has been reassigned to Wes, and he starts getting the voicemails that Jill is sending to Isabelle, technically speaking. He starts getting them, and instead of kind of alerting, like, hey, I'm the one getting your voicemails, I'm very sorry to be telling you this, he starts listening to every single one of them and kind of entertaining this for Jill to be able to grieve, which isn't a bad decision. It's just the way that it starts to be handled that people have issues with, because he starts to fall in love with this grieving woman through these, like, insane voicemails, and then decides to make a work trip for himself to go from Austin, Texas to San Francisco so he can track down Jill. And he's kind of presenting himself as the perfect guy to her in the first half of this, where he's like using the information from these voicemails to basically go like try to find Jill at her favorite spots in the city, or pretend like his favorite local spots in Austin, Texas are the same as Jill's. The way he is using this information to kind of bait himself into this relationship to get Jill to kind of warm up to him, and also kind of forcing himself onto a work trip to another city to meet her from these grieving voicemails, it can kind of feel a little creepy at some points, and I can understand why, and having that in your back, like in the back of your mind the entire way through the film, because this relationship is pretty good. It's just in the back of your mind you're thinking, okay, this guy likes her because he stalked her on Instagram after hearing all of these voicemails that are meant for her dead sister. She's grieving and he fell in love with that, and it's like, someone needs to knock some sense into this guy's head, maybe with a Fortnite unicorn. And all of that, I promise, sounds worse than I think the movie actually handles it, because it does handle some of those parts very romantically. It does make fun of the situation, and it does present Wes as kind of weird in different scenes, where I think it actually does a decent job kind of showing, hey, this is kind of a weird thing you're doing here, maybe you should try to patch this thing up so you don't look like the weirdest guy on the internet. So what it does is that Wes's friends are background roles in this movie, and they're constantly telling him how weird this is, and like telling him, you need to confess to Jill that you are getting her voicemails, because this is very creepy. I know you want her to have that outlet to keep like talking to her sister in this way, but at a certain point, man, you're just using this information to get with her, and it's like, it's a little weird. His friends are kind of trying to reaffirm that to him, and he's understanding it. Like, he is realizing how weird it gets as the movie goes on. So it's not like it's completely endorsing this as completely okay. And we do see that kind of guilt in Wes too, especially when he's wallowing to Taylor Swift in this, which makes him incredibly relatable. Like, right where you left me stands, where are y'all at? Now, if you were only here for the creepiness factor of this movie, that part is over. I've pretty much just established it is in principle, but the way the movie handles it, it really isn't as bad as what Variety and The Guardian are trying to say. It has very like rave reviews everywhere else pretty much, and I think that's a testament to what I'm about to say about the movie. But if you don't care about like just my typical review of this thing, skip to this time code down below right here so you can see the final score and everything. But with that said, let's just get right into it. Now, related to the Taylor Swift thing, the movie does use a lot of music drops, and Taylor does drop a couple times during the film, so Swifties, I won't say what the songs are because I want the surprise for you, but they do match the theme of this movie, and they also throw in Robin as well, so I think those two artists, the way their songs are incorporated in the film, I think work because of the use of them. But then you have other music drops where they throw Benson Boone in here during like a very big moment where it doesn't really make sense. They also just throw in the score that can be kind of cheesy at times, where it's just like this bright but sad piano during some of the most devastating sequences of the film, where I feel like if you got those moments a little bit darker or more serious with the music, those moments could have hit even harder. Now, it truly sounds like I am just nonstop hating on this thing because of the premise and then like some of the music drops outside of Taylor and Robin, but I really did enjoy this one a lot. I think the dialogue in this thing is extremely sharp, and I think it's very clever with the jokes. It is really going to make you laugh a lot. Already just how the premise is handled will bring out a lot of laughs, but I really think there's a lot of like hard-hitting dialogue with some of these like quick to response jokes, as well as some background details that really will get you laughing, especially towards the end of the film. A lot of background stuff. And you do have a very super likable lead in Jill, where she's at a point in her life where one small move is basically going to take her life all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom, because she wants this big promotion at her culinary job while she's also grieving. So there's a lot of personal struggle while she's also going through this romantic decision of, okay, in her words, she's like men sober, so does this Wes relationship change anything for her? So I like the character dynamic of what they grew with her and how those situations are bringing in a lot of the jokes, but also a lot of good serious moments, which is another thing this movie does really well. I think it blends the tones really nicely, where it handles the serious stuff with enough care, but it doesn't have, like, it doesn't get afraid to shy away from all of those like unserious moments, where it has a very nice like kind of pendulum of how it's moving along with the tone. I think that's handled really well. And I do think these two leads really do complement each other, especially like the performances between Zoe Deutsch and Nick Robinson I think are very good, and they have a lot of chemistry together. But I think it's just the way the characters complement each other too, because Jill is this very bubbly, like lighthearted character, very high energy, and that's really fun to watch. But then Wes is more soft-spoken. He definitely has the energy to him, and like more of an outgoing side as well, which is where they really complement, but he is a little more soft-spoken than Jill. So I think the complementary roles that they have here, I think really make this dynamic really fun to watch, and I think it leads to a lot of really great moments between them. But beyond that, I really do think this is just a well-made film as a whole. It looks pretty good, especially like for the Netflix ones. Like Office Romance from a couple weeks ago, I thought was a complete disaster in the writing and just everything about it. This one I think just looks pretty good, and it's really just paced exceptionally well. This thing flies by in its 2-hour runtime, and I really think as a whole, this is just a very entertaining film. The entertainment value is very high on this one. I think it's just well made. It has very good performances. It has very like some sharp dialogue in here, and some really funny moments of Jill just having like these brutal verbal takedowns on characters that very much deserve it. So there's just a lot of really great stuff in this one, and I was genuinely shocked by how much I did enjoy it. Now, before I get into my final thoughts, make sure to like and subscribe. I am 4 subs away from hitting my 100 goal for the year, and I'm about to do that halfway through the year, which is kind of insane to think about, so make sure to be one of the first 100 before I inevitably become the most famous person on YouTube. Voicemails for Isabelle has a setup that may come off a bit creepy for some, but I think it really gets over that hump with its high entertainment value, very fun lead character, and a great blend of serious and fun. It gets completely unserious, but it knows how to get back to properly treat the grief sections pretty well, and have the moments of guilt for Wes as he wallows to Taylor Swift. It is a Netflix rom-com that is a genuinely good time, and my final score for this one is going to be a 4 out of 5. I really do think this is one of Netflix's best efforts of 2026 on the movie side. Actually, no, this is my favorite Netflix movie of 2026 so far, and I really think by the end of the year this is going to be one of their more memorable efforts. So thank you all for watching this one. I very much appreciate it. Once again, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want some more movie-related content. Did you like my Fortnite unicorn? I got that at my friend's garage sale, so like, it's awesome. Make sure to subscribe.